of the first season on F1 2021, second season on Full Time. We are in Great Britain, on Silverstone, racing for the second race of the season. As always, the format is a short qualifying of 18 minutes that will decide the starting grid for the 100% race. I want to remind you that in this league no assists are allowed whatsoever, and that's make it even harder for the drivers. So we are heading into the short qualifying of 18 minutes, where in the first race in Austria we had a contact in the very beginning of the session between Potro and Fred Nolasco, and both got retired from the session and didn't manage to start the lap. So we'll see how the drivers are gonna handle behave, I should say, for this qualifying. As now the drivers are loading their setup, adjusting the fuel, checking the radar for the weather, seeing if the qualifying looks quite sunny, but it may change for the race. So let's have a look at the standings. Let me get them. So let's start from the Constructor Championship. Alpine is first on the Constructor Championship with 38 points, Aston Martin following Alpine with 32, Ferrari third with 28, Williams and McLaren both with 23, Mercedes just 1 point behind them with 22, Red Bull 7th with 20, Alfa Romeo 8th with 18, AlphaTauri 17, Lamborghini with 8, and us with 5. Let's get on board with Jules. We have 9 spectators on, thank you so much. So, as I was saying, Alpine is leading the championship, also because from the great performance that Fred Nolasco managed to get from the first race, starting from P20 up to P1. Incredible result from the Brazilian driver. Hi, it's Mosen Reze. Good luck from Barks of Wood. Thank you so much. Barks is leading the Constructor Championship as it stands, in pair with Fred Nolasco, who managed to get the W in the first race in Austria. As I was saying, he started P last and managed to win the race on a fantastic one-stopper, medium to softs. So Fred is first with 20 points, Eisenberg as well with 20 because we had some bonus point at the start of the season, independent in which team you were collocated. When Cam trails with 17 points, followed by Lustig with 15, and that shows the power of Aston Martin, third and fourth in the Drivers' Championship. So they're a bit strong for the constructor, as Jules is starting this lap. So let's put telemetry on. Then we have Numax, Warren, Brooke, Barks, Clay and Sandman completed the top 10, but now the drivers are starting to drive around the track. We can focus on them, we can focus on what their times are gonna be. For this first part of qualifying, many drivers are choosing the medium tires, the yellow tire, the slower one, compared to the softs. Maybe they want to choose an alternative strategy, going for a one-stop, a medium soft or medium hard, since this is a 100% race the tires doesn't behave as a 50% one, which more of you might be familiar to. We're now watching Jules get a little bit of track up ahead for Tibran. Tibran is driving, let me check. Tibran is driving for an AlphaTauri, but is actually driving for the Lamborghini team. And Jules goes fastest overall, ahead of Zabijaka and F4 Racing Warren, his teammates, with a 128.2, 2/10 faster than Zabijaka, which is on the softs, while Warren is on the mediums, 5/10 behind him. Let's watch the championship leader Fred Nolasco. He's on a medium tires, and he's hoping to get better qualifying the last time around. Sandman 126.6 in the Mercedes with the medium tire. Interesting time from him. Let's see what Fred is gonna be. He's gonna be in P3 with the 128.3, 1.7 seconds behind Sandman. That's a little bit off the pace from his championship position, but there are still 13 minutes to go. We will see how the qualifying will result. Get the money, Jan Run in P6 with a 129.6. Tibran for the Lamborghini team with the livery of an AlphaTauri, driving around the third sector. Warren improved his laps with a 127.5. Most likely Fred did a mistake. And Tibran finished P7 with a 129.1. Completing his first lap on the soft tires. Let's get on board with Snaggletooth. Maybe let's go with Dirshak on the Red Bull, who is on a lap. I don't know how many of you have watched the first race live with me, but for those who were there, watching this Red Bull driving around Silverstone, I get flashback of the first race where Dirtshark and Mr. Debro came together in Austria, destroying both races and both cars, when they were looking very much on the pace for a win or at least a podium. So they're also a contender for the race win today. Dirshak nicely done. Maggots and Beckett's the most famous corners on the F1 calendar. 1.3.2 as the second sector. Going into Stowe very close to the curb on the inside, kissing the curb on the outside, braking around 60 meter berths. Tight line to P2, 126.8, 2/10 down Sandman, who has set fastest lap on the medium tires, so this is a very good lap from him, and he might consider to keep this lap. As Fred is preparing to start another lap, but let's get on board with someone else. Let's get on board with Chemtrails, who is in P11 at the moment, but he didn't set a lap yet. He haven't set a lap yet, sorry. This beautiful looking Aston Martin. It's not a purple middle sector for him. Very wide line here, but closing, almost losing the car there. Size line going into Cops right now, which is a corner that it's very difficult to do full gas, as Cam invalidated his lap. Let's get on board with Girocco, his new name from Luca, which was using on F1 2020, as Marks of the Wood claims P4 at the moment with a 1:27.8, just 1.2 seconds from pole. Very nicely done from the Alpine driver, which is now the leader of the team at the moment, with Fred in P8. Truckster 1-2 Mercedes, Truckster 1:26.6, only 3 milliseconds in front of Sandman, as Chirocco that we were watching on the medium tires set a 1:27.1, so he's half a second from pole on the medium tires, but even Sandman is shown with the soft tires. He set this 26.6 on a medium compound, so he has a lot to improve if he's gonna switch to the soft tires. I think he will if he wants to get pole position. My drivers are closing on his times. Let's get on board with Eisenberg, who is crossing the line right now with the medium tires. No, yeah, it was another outlap. He made 2, so let's get on board with the Ferrari of Eisenberg, which is the leading Ferrari. Marcy has taken the place from Simopaz, who didn't manage to come back soon enough to retain his place as the Ferrari team. So the past championship leader won't be able to run a full-time seat for this season, but he said that we'll come back stronger. Cam with a 1:27.2 put himself into P5. As always, the Aston Martin looking very strong in high places, P5 and P6, Cam and Lostock. Eisenberg has done a 1:3.6 in the second sector, which is quite a good middle sector considering he's on the medium tires. Let's see where he's gonna hand. He's gonna hand a little bit wide, maybe a little bit too late. Short line to the line is a 1:27.5, which put him P8, just in front of Marks of the Hood and behind Warren, who has set his lap on medium tires and is now improving by 0.6 of a second with the soft tire, so he's looking to get a top 3 finish. We will see if he's going to improve other 3 times going into the third sector. It's a very short sector, but there is a lot of time to gain because of traction zone, which really makes the difference. And 1:26.7, so top 3 for him, just a tenth behind Sandman, who is on pole. Also Dershart is on a lap as well, trying to improve on a brand new set of softs. While Mr. Debra, Vumax, Marcy hasn't set a lap yet. Maybe they are waiting the truck to get better and better by the end of the session and then set a lap at the very end. Maybe to do one onto the medium tires as Mr. Debra has selected. You can see that by the monitor, you can spy that by the monitor. So let's see the shark. One gear down, just inside the track limits. Beckett's very fast corner, very well done from Dirt Shark, and it's a 1:3.2, so just improving above a tenth, but that's enough to fight for the pole, to fight for the front row. And Brooke in the chat spam us some little some dogs. Thank you so much, Brooke. As the shark improve, claiming P3, but that won't be enough for the pole position, but maybe he's gonna have time to go for another lap. Let's get on board with Barks, who is on a lap going into Cups. Almost full gas. The only driver I saw today not putting a gear down. And full gas also, both Maggots. Braking both Maggots. It's a 1.3.5, so he's improving by 0.6 of a second. And he's in provisional P6 right now. Let's see if he's gonna improve also in the third sector. He might guarantee him a top 5 qualifying, or at least a provisional top 5 qualifying. Let's see, top 6 with a 1:27.2, so just about ahead of the Alfa Tauri, and both Aston Martin and Struxter goes with a banger with a 1:26.0, clinching P1 with provisional pole 6 tenths better of Sandman, which is still in the pit, and seeing this amazing lap time from his teammates, he might change his strategy and go for the soft tarts. Mr. Debro on the medium with a 1:27.0. Good result on this compound, but still a little bit of a risk because there are many drivers in the low 27 from P5 to P10. Jurocco 1:27. I don't know, maybe improved just a little bit. Yeah, because he overtook Dershak, which is still on the pit, as Warren is anyhow. Ooh, there was a spin. Who's there? I can see that by the minimap, sorry. Let's get on board with Fred Nolasco, who's on a 5 laps old medium tires. What's his strategy? I don't think that's the best option for him. Maybe he wants at all cost to qualifying on the medium tires, but this is surely affecting. I don't recommend it. Starting a race with a 5 laps old compound is not the right option. It compromises your strategy. Let's see, his lap is a 1:27.0 P7, but with a 6 laps old mediums. It doesn't seem like the best option to me. Warren is on a lap. Ooh, taking a bit of grass. Let's see if his first sector is good or he's gonna abort the lap, even if he doesn't have time to do so. He's 4 times up and he spins out, going by the end of the first sector where Fred is coming, but he doesn't have fuel, so Fred finish. Maybe he does for just one last lap. Dragster finishes qualifying in provisional P1. Let's see if Sandman is gonna be able to fight him on the soft tires. He finally decides to choose for the soft tires, even if a first row on the medium will be absolutely incredible for him. And the qualifying time is over. Truckster, Jurocco, Dershak, Mr. Debro, Barks, Lostdock, Marcy, Mooman, Cam, Tibran, Clay as Snaggletooth. I finished. Oh, incredibly, Sandman didn't get his lap as validated, and so does Warren, who didn't manage to finish the lap. Ooh, and now Sandman gets invalidated, going into Beckett's his lap, and so Truckster is our pole sitter for round 2 for Silverstone with a 1:26.0, 1 second better than Max Verstappen's pole last year. And so Truckster complete with Sandman a 1-2 Mercedes. And for Sandman, it's not the end of the world, since it's gonna start on mediums. Girocco and Durshark in the second row, Warren and Mr. Debra. Oh, Eisenberg, incredibly, at the very end of the session, managed to clinch the third row, and Jules get into P10 with the soft tires, pushing Barks behind in P11. We're waiting to Sandman to retire. So let's have a look at the end of qualifying, and then we will head out to the race. So I'll check the message in a minute. So Trackster, Sandman, Girocco, Durshark, Warren, Heisenberg, Mr. Debra, Vimax, Fernalasco, and Jules completing the top 10. Then we have Barks, Zabishaka, get their money. Sorry, it's always difficult. Get their money on run, chemtrails, and it doesn't allow me to. Okay. Get the money on run, chemtrail, Lockstock, Marcy, Mooman, Tibron, Clay, as Nagelsus complete on the grid. We'll see which strategy are gonna be able to do these drivers. Obviously the drivers from P11 to 20 are gonna be able to choose the set of tire to start on. Maybe we will see a lot of medium tires. The weather looks cloudy, so we might have some rain later on, but there are no raindrops at the moment. Let me just check the messages for a second. As the formation lap is starting right now. There we go. I got some info to tell that in this race we're gonna have a fight for the second Ferrari spot among Marcy, Clay Racing, and Vumax, and they're gonna fight for the Ferrari spot, the second Ferrari spot. The first one, the lead one, has been given to Eisenberg since the start, the loss, I should say, of Simopez. And so we're heading into Silverstone, a 52 laps race. Front row Mercedes lockout, and you can see Sandman is on the medium tires. Let's put the graphic of the tires so that we can have a look. From the 11 to 20, only 5 drivers choose the medium tires. The others want to be aggressive going into the first stint of the race, choosing the soft tires, so maybe the strategy is different. We will have a look on it as the race starts. In the top 10, Mr. Debra, Fred Nolasco, and Sandman have the medium tires, and this might play a little bit of in favor of Girocco and Trackster, because the start on the medium is notorious for not being very good. Barks ghosting into Jules. I thought he was in control of his car. So Let's put change of position on so that we can see what is gonna happen at the start of the race. And let's get on board with Sandman from the television cam as you're waiting for the green flag. Every drivers to load. And here we are for the Silverstone Grand Prix. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light, 4 light, 5 lights, and away we go. A very good start from the Red Bull driver, who is trying to go down the inside of G-Rocco, who is trying himself to go around the outside of the Mercedes. Ooh, there's a bit of a lag for Sandman. Ooh, there is a Red Bull. The Red Bull going down inside, and also G-Rocco and the Haas getting P2. Sandman fighting with the Red Bull. Ooh, there is a little bit of Count Eisenberg is now wheel to wheel with Sandman and has to back out of it. Zabijaka is now fighting. There is a three-way fight going into the hand of the first sector, and it is Zabijaka who get an amazing start from P12 up to 4th. Eisenberg get 1 position, while Dirt Shark has lost 9. Well, there's Sandman. Sandman is in P3, and G-Rocco managed to get the lead on Dragster, get the jump going to the first sector, but Dragster wants to get it back, and it's already on the shoulder of G-Rocco, and there's been an incident behind. No, it was only a yellow flag, but nothing to really say about it. So G-Rocco will lead by the end of the first lap, starting from P3 up to P1. The 2 Mercedes lost 1 place each. Zabijaka, an amazing start, and he's gonna go down inside of Sandman, who is on a medium tires, and looks like he got disconnected from the session, or maybe he's only lagging because of bad connection. Ooh, and Sandman has now lost completely the connection, so I'm supposed to invite him, so let me just have a second to invite him back. As we are soon gonna come back to the race. Let me just check if I can get Sandman. Sadly, I didn't manage to saw his PNS ID. If anyone watching does know it, please send it to me in the chat. That would be good help for him. So Dirshark is now in the lead. What did I lose? Now most likely it's something wrong, because Dirshark is with a hard tire, so is dead last. In fact it is. So G-Rocco still leading, followed by Dragster, Sandman. Oh, Sandman is back in the session, but he's lagging so much. Eisenberg P4, Zabijaka P5, followed with the Ferrari driver Mr. Debro P6 has gained 1 place. Zabijaka has lost 1 to Eisenberg. Fred Nolasco in P7 has gained 2 places, but still these tires are really in a bad... Oh, he actually had 2 sets of mediums for the qualifying, and now he has a new set. So Vumax has still in P8. Jules has gained 1 places. Tibran has gained 8 from P18 up to 10th. There are his teammates just behind him. P11 Clay Racing in P12 has gained 7. Lastdock P13, not the place that he wanted, but is wanted to start in P15, but has managed to gain 2 places. And the race is long. P has gained 1 places, and now 2, because he got the move on Mooman going into Maggots. Ooh, and Mooman has to break, sorry. And Warren gets the position on him. Snaggletooth in P17, and In the last place is Bark Hood, Chemtrails and Dirt Shark, 3 big names. I wonder what happened to them while I was trying to reinvite Sandman, who has never left the session. Sandman that now put the fastest lap of the race with a 1:31. Barks also has a penalty. Let's have a look. Sorry. Okay, so he has only 3-second time penalty. Well, let's get on board back with a fight for the lead. Sandman, as we were thinking, he's losing some time, but you can see Trackster has a lot more pace than Jurako, and he's most likely slowing down, helping Sandman, who has chose for the alternative strategy, as Zabijaka is now fighting with Eisenberg for P4. They're very close, going into Maggots, and they're gonna be even closer into the straight. But now Trackster as DRS is not using his battery power because wants Jurako to deploy everything. Let's get on board with Zabijaka, who doesn't look like to have a really good top speed or enough top speed for Eisenberg, but gets a really good traction and he's gonna try to go down inside. No, it's not. He fake a move on him, but he has to be patient. Oh, and Zabijaka, as I was saying, that he needs to be patient, almost losing the car, losing the traction on the last corner and losing the places to Mr. Dubrow, who is also into the medium tires, and we have to keep an eye on him. Fred in Alaska, the championship leader, is struggling a bit in P7 right now, 0.4 of a second behind Zabijaka, following this train, and since there is a DRS train, he can't do much about it. We have to sit and wait for a mistake of some of the driver. Mr. Dubrow now looks like last on the grid, so maybe it looks like he's disconnected. I don't know. Zabijaka 3-second time penalty. We have a yellow flag going to sector 3, and is the Shark, who most likely got contact with someone and is now dead last. Mr. Dubrow is shown as last on the grid, but is definitely not. He's not. Trackster is sitting behind Jurako for another lap. The problem of Jurako, known as Luca in the first season, was the consistency, and now the US driver is showing that he might have the chance to win a race. Sandman 1:31.0, and is now gaining on the pairing front, so Trackster needs really to have a move on the US driver and try to get him as soon as I can. He has a lot of battery and he's now using it, but he had a moment before the straight and he doesn't manage to get close enough to the leader. Let's get on board with Jules, who is 4 fans behind Vumax. Jules is completing the DRS train that starts from Eisenberg up to the McLaren, while T-Brain is just 2.5 seconds behind him. Dirt Shark has managed to get past the Aston Martin drivers that who are driving another race. They are very far away, but still there is some chance. The race has more than 40 laps to tell and to give us some exciting fight. Trackster for another time, for another lap, sitting behind, and Sandman is gaining some time. We know Trackster does have the pace because he's so close to Jurako, but he's doing mistakes after mistakes going in the turn before the straight, since the Dirty R is so strong in this game. Jurako taking a white line. Trackster is not down inside. Another lock up for the last driver, and now Trackster, which is really close, using his battery power, but switching it off. He doesn't want to waste it. He doesn't want the leader to use up all the energy and then maybe try to go for an attack and open a DRS gap of 1 second, not to have G-Rocco in the DRS. But there we go, going into Copse, lose some margin, and now going into the main straight. I don't think he's gonna be close enough. Now it's about 0.6 of a second. And the Italian driver moves himself out of the slipstream, and so the Mercedes, even for the 7th lap, is gonna be behind him. And Sandman is getting closer. Mr. Debro in P4, even if he's shown in P20. I don't know what is wrong with this graphic. Mr. Debro is in P4, Eisenberg is in P5. And so you have to add 1 place to every driver. He's on the medium as well. He's 7 seconds behind the leader. Gap that is not that big, but it's getting bigger and bigger every lap, so he needs to pick up the pace if he wants to try and get the win. While his teammate is on the hard tires far away in P19. Worsening is doing all he can in P20. There's a yellow flag in sector 3 and it's just a Martin driver. So Trackster sitting behind those drivers for another lap. This is all time that he's losing. Mr. Debro goes into the racing line, sticking. Ooh, and Eisenberg tries to get a dummy on him, and Zabishaka smartly getting the position on the Ferrari. Oh, messed up his lines, going to stow, and the Alfa Romeo swoops down inside. Fred Lasco in P6 followed closely by Vumax. In P7, ooh, as Fred goes wide, that might be a track invalidation. Eisenberg goes wide as well. T-Burn, ooh, has T-Burn lost the car? No, he's just lost 2 places. And now he's lost the car. Going into turn 1, the AlphaTauri driver, who is a contender for the Ferrari seat, has lost the car and is now in P17. Well, let's get on board between the fight for the lead of the race. Sandman has lost so much ground. He was like 1.4 seconds behind the pair and is now 2.3 seconds. So he surely have done a mistake, but Trackster doesn't want to use his battery power to overtake G-Rocco. Maybe he doesn't think that Sandman is a threat for the race, but he's onto the mediums and he's keeping up the pace of the guy in front. When you can see Trackster has to lock up 2 times in the same corner, as Clay has now lost 2 places from Warren and Morsi. Clay Racing, the Alfa Romeo driver, is now in P13. Also Eisenberg is really close to Zabishaka, and then we're gonna switch to that fight very soon, but Trackster is not close enough, so let's see Eisenberg try to make a move on Zabishaka. Barks Hood 3-second time penalty, and now there are 6. Not the best start of the race for him. Eisenberg goes down inside Zabishaka, leaving the window open, but didn't manage to get past him. And now it's Fred opportunity going to Cops using all this battery, but Eisenberg is gonna stick to the racing line. The three are so close to each other. Vumax gets the best line of out of the four, and is gonna have a slingshot exit, but you're also gonna get all the dirty air from the three cars up ahead. Eisenberg is closing in on Zabijaka, using all this energy, going down inside into Stowe. We're on lap 10 and Eisenberg gets his place back. Fred Nolasco following closely, looking to pick up the scraps of the battle, and so does Vumax. Zabijaka trying to get the switch back on Eisenberg, but won't manage to do so, as the Aston Martin of Chemtrails let everyone go. We also have to remember that Mr. Debro, for some reason, is given as P19, but is actually P9. Ooh, and there's Girocco! Girocco spun the leader in the Haas, as spun, and now has lost multiple places. Gonna lose also to Fernandesco. Is now fighting within for P5, since Mr. Dubro is not shown in the standing. He doesn't look to have damage, but is surely lost some time. Ooh, Eisenberg, 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flag. I've never seen that penalty. That's quite a rare penalty. I haven't seen that. I think it's new for this game. Fred trying to make a move on Eisenberg. Sandman, while setting the fastest lap, and is now getting closer to Traxxer. He's in the DRS range of his teammates, with a compound different, the slower compound. They're doing their races, while Mr. Dubro is trying to get out of the DRS range from Eisenberg, and it will be a sitting back to the attack of Fred, who is using all his battery. Eisenberg stick to the racing line. Fred goes down inside, but Eisenberg tried to hold around the outside. Fred goes really deep, and Girocco gets the place on the Ferrari, who's gonna have the better traction, most likely the Haas. Ooh, but Girocco spun, and Eisenberg is in the wall, and both retired. Girocco lost the car due to a traction failure, and Eisenberg got collected into the incident, and now these two contenders for the podiums are out of the race. Fred Nolasco, 3-second time penalty. This was huge. Both Girocco and Eisenberg are out of the race. And let's take a... yeah, that's really bad incident. Two podium contenders out of the race. Girocco was obviously frustrated for the loss of the car, for the loss of the lead, and most likely over-pushed. Going to the battle among Fred and Girocco, and Eisenberg, and by that we have two retirements already on lap 13. Now we're gonna see the pace in clean air. Indeed, Monson. For those who are not reading the chat, he wrote that they both are fast, but have also bad luck. Girocco as well, but maybe it's a problem of consistency for him that we have seen in the first season, but I always hope for the best for him to come back stronger in the next race. Fernandlasco going really deep. I don't know if it's gonna count, but Mr. Debro is sitting in P3 right now. Even if it's not shown on the monitor, you can see that by the minimap is a couple of seconds ahead of Fred, who is fighting with Vumax, and actually Vumax get the place on him, on the Alpine driver who is on the medium tires. Very well done from Vumax, who is the favorite candidate to get the Ferrari seat on a permanent time, now sitting in P4. And Fred does also have the penalty. There's a yellow flag in sector 1. Is Sandman. Sandman is now fighting with the Red Bull. Maybe it's not. Let's see. No, Mr. Debro. What has happened? Is Vumax and also Mooman. What just happened? Into turn 3. Maybe Vumax trying to get Mooman. Vumax, sorry, trying to get Mooman, the lapped car. Has lost his front wing. And is now losing places to Lustig, get the money and run. And now also the place on Mooman, and he's gonna try to go to the pit and gets this front wing replaced. And by that, Jules is now sitting in P5. Let's see where Mr. Debro is. Yes, behind Sandman and ahead of Fred. And by that, Jules is now sitting into P5. Lustig P6, and Jules may try and move on. Fred is too far away. I wonder if anyone got damage as well. Jules fake a pass on to the into the pit. Comes to P16, fighting with T-Brand for P15. Dirtshark as close up on them, and Mr. Debro is in P3. And Vumax goes into the pits, replacing his front wing. Sadly, I don't have a view on it. Truckster. So this standing, switching every 2 laps are gonna make him mad, thinking Traxxer disconnected or lost the car. And now is fixing. It's gonna take a sector or 2, maybe a lap. Maybe finally we're gonna see Mr. Debro in the place he belongs. So that's not the real standing that you're watching. For the new people that's joined, we're waiting to set it up. Maybe when everyone is gonna cross the racing line, all the instances are gonna set. So we are on board with Traxxer, who is the leader as it stands in the soft tires, followed by Sandman, then Mr. Debro, then Fred Nolasco or Jules, depending who is in front. Jules is in front, so he gets the move on the Alpine driver, but he didn't manage to see that because the things were shuffling. So Fred Nolasco doesn't seem to have the pace on these medium tires, and the softs are gonna start to drop off in the next 10 laps, that's sure. I don't know how many laps you can do on the soft, but Silverstone has always been a race where you can do one stopper soft to mediums. As Vumax is shown still in the pit while he's clearly not. Now Bark says he's shown in P2. I will be happy to see that. Now P1. Sandman 3-second time penalty for multiple warning. This is not... Ooh, there is a fight. I've seen a fight. And now I've lost it. There are multiple yellow flags going in sector 1, 2 and 3. What is happening to this game? Yellow flag everywhere. I hope no one is gonna get the penalty. Eisenberg got some laps ago of size 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flag. Jules 130.7. I don't know which position he's in. I think P4. If I remember correctly, since the standings are not true, with the one you can see on the left. Let me try to... Oh, Mr. Dubra has got the move on Sandman. And Sandman is trying to fight back. Okay, I think everything's has been set up now. Yes, apart from Mr. Dubra is shown P18. But now finally the standings are back. But we need to wait also for the gaps. Sandman is not 31 seconds behind his teammate. He's will be like 5 or 6, maybe even less. And Jules of the McLaren is in P4, followed by Fred and Alaska in P5. Lost Doc, after a very bad qualifying, is now in P6. Amazing race pace on these medium tires. So let's get on board with Mr. Dubro and Sandman fighting for P2. Yeah, I'm confused too, but I think everything has been settled now, apart from Mr. Dubro, who is not in P18, has never been lapped. It's confirmed because you can see that the race from the live stream. He's never been lapped, so he's actually in P2 right now. Zabishaka, 3-second time penalty. That's not the first penalty for the Alfa Romeo driver. He's surely gonna try to hold on that crucial one last place. Will get himself a point. I don't know what happened to Mr. Dubro, but I know last stock it showed that he got the place on the AlphaTauri driver, but he was in front even before that. Now there are very big gaps between the driver, at least at the top. The only fight that I can show you is between Lostdoc and Gatler Money on run. And Lostdoc is also shown with a red cross on his name, and that seems that is lagging. I don't think I am the one laggy, otherwise you wouldn't be able to see the stream. Let me know in the chat if everything looks fine. Yeah, we will have a look on that. Let's get on board with someone we have never been. Let's get on board with Park Hood. The graphic says he's in P12, but I wouldn't trust now P13, and now we're in the confusion that we were before, with a yellow flag in sector 1, 2 and 3. This game is all over the place. I really don't understand how you can make it worse than last year multiplayer. were absolutely horrific. Jules is in the pits, that's sure, because we can see his car. He has put a new set of mediums and is a good indicator because he's pitted from softs to mediums after 20 laps. So we know that the mediums are gonna do around 35 laps to get the best out of the softs. Maybe even less if they want not to get a big undercut. Let's back on board with Barks, who is desperately trying to get close to Zabijaka and also to not lose that much of a time to the guy behind. Let's see the penalty situation. Sandman and Fred both get through second, Clay and Warren 2, Zabijaka has 9 seconds and as Bark does have 6. Sandman responding to the to the strategy of Jules has now gone into the pit, but he has the medium tires on, so he's gonna pit for the medium. Ooh, he's lost his front wing, that's why he pitted. You can see in some frames before the pit stop that he has lost his full front wing and most likely he's gonna lose the place on Jules. And now in the net P2 we have Mr. Dibber, right? Yeah, Mr. Dibber is in the net P2, but Sandman didn't lose the place on Jules because he was far ahead. Yep, Jules comes back into the on track in the DRS range of the Mercedes, but we'll have better tires, but not for the end of the race. I don't think softs can do 30 laps, or at least by lap 20 to 30 the mediums are gonna have so much more pace. And we also have to think that Sandman has a 3-second time penalty, which is gonna make the difference as Dragster goes now dives into the pit while Mr. Dibro continue and is now the official leader. Even if it's not shown, he is the leader. Hopefully the decision will be not to discount him, since the game decides it. Sandman gets the position on Barks. Is Jules gonna do the same? Ooh, Barks locks up, and so does Jules. Many people are going into the pit. Dragster, Warren. Dragster is gonna head out soon. What has happened with Dragster? What is happening with this game? That's really confusing, and that's also does not provide the entertainment that we were waiting. The drivers on tracks are giving everything to battle for the lead, creating also new strategies, but the game doesn't allow us to see them properly. Sandman is now shown as the race leader, now in fact is Hebron. And now we're now Dragster. Okay. Why are you showing television cam if I'm asking to get pod? Dragster is now onto the last turns, so he doesn't belong to P1. Fred is P2, okay. No, Fred should be P1. And Warren is shown into the pit, but is driving around the straight. Okay, now he's setting up once again, and now he's screwed once again. One thing is sure is Fred first. No, it's not, because Mr. Dubrow, who hasn't pitted yet, is first, still on the medium tires. That's so disgusting that these games hasn't improved from years of back into the multiplayer lobby. It actually got worse and worse. So Mr. Dubrow is leading the pack, even if he's shown dead last, followed by Fred, wasn't pitted yet, and then I think it's Tragster. Maybe it's Lovestock, really. Yeah, it is, because he hasn't pitted yet. Is that Clay the one behind? Okay, now it's fixed. Finally. Let's have a look at the standings, because before he screwed up once more. So Fred is leading, but with no, it's not Fred leading, and Mr. Dubrow. Mr. Dubrow, Fred, Lovestock, and Get the Money on Run are the top 4 drivers, but they haven't pitted yet, and Tragster is already getting close to them. Tragster is on a new set of mediums and is gonna hand the race on these mediums. And then we have Clay, Zbyszaka, the 2 Alfa Romeo drivers who are not, who hasn't pitted yet, and there is a yellow flag, and it's Sandman! Crucially, Sandman, the Mercedes drivers with a new set of softs, was just pitted 2 laps ago, has spun going into turn 3 into the first sector, and he has lost so much time to the guys ahead, and is probably gonna have to pit once more, as Fred is now pitting. So Lovestock is now second, since Mr. Dubrow hasn't pitted yet. Let's see, Tragster has already gone past Fred by so much time, and Fred is in the pit. We should send it to Codemaster. I hope that this is gonna happen during the F1 Esports event, so they will consider to make new servers or to hire new people to develop their softwares. No, Drivers Radio is not on, sadly. It's not included in the game. Let's see, Fred is shown still into the pit. At least Lovestock, no, Mr. Dubrow is the one leading, and he's not pitting yet. He's gonna wait until lap 30 or so. And so Lovestock, while Tragster is getting closer, he has gained 2 seconds to the pack up ahead, and Fred decides to choose I'll discuss with Barks whether to put radio on, but that would be chaotic, so we might consider it, but I won't promise anything. Fred Nolasco, 5-second time penalty for cutting a corner and gaining a place by that. Clay Racing 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, as the standings are shuffling once more, and from now on I'm gonna watch only the minimap on the right side. You're welcome. So let's see. Mr. Dubrow has finally gone into the pit, even if we're only into mid-race, but he's in the pit, but the graphics doesn't show it right. Maybe I should consider it to leave the session and then come back. Maybe we'll adjust. I know Fred Silva. I don't know why Fred got 5-second time penalty. Let me check if he really does have this. He has. I don't know, Fred Silva. Maybe he truly cut the corner. He'll show us with he's on board that he doesn't deserve his penalty. If he doesn't. And in case, he'll get removed by the stewards. So Trackster trying to get AlphaTauri into the straight. Trackster has stopped yet, while AlphaTauri doesn't. It's gonna be an easy pass for the Mercedes driver. Going around the outside, sticking to the racing line. He leaves some room. Going to stall, but it's an easy pass for him. Sandman is in P10, but is he actually? Let me have a look. Yeah, most likely he's truly in P11, counting Mr. Dubrow in front of him, but he has Snaggletooth, their shark, in front, who hasn't pitted yet. Maybe their shark will finish the race on this art, but he'll surely get by Sandman, since these tires are gonna be cooked by the end of the race. And so Clay and the AlphaTauri and Lostock need to beat. Mr. Dubrow is now heading into turn 6. So let's see where is Trackster. Trackster is 4 or 5 seconds in front of him, and he's leading the race in a net P1. Lostock is the one leading, but is yet to pit. Let's see where is Fred. Fred is in P5 in a net P6, considering Mr. Dubrow ahead, but with 3 drivers in front that are yet to pit, and Jules that is coming at him, even if he has mediums on. Jules looks that he has the pace, and he's surely gonna fight for a podium finish with Fred, also given by the penalty situation. He has 6 seconds less than Fred, but if Fred gets removed his 5-second time penalty, then he needs to overtake him on track or being really close when the racing line will be crossed. So consider our many drivers who hasn't pitted yet. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Also Cam hasn't pitted yet in P17. Fred 1:29.0, and that's the fastest lap on a almost brand new set of softs. Marcy has been shown in P7 and then back to P15, and Sandman is now shown in P15. I wonder if he has spun. No, it's not. He's behind Muman, but he surely needs to lap him. So watching the minimap, Marcy is the driver in front of him. Then there is Durshak. And then maybe there is Jules. Yeah. Then we have Fred, Clay, and the rest is okay. Sandman 128.8 responding to the fastest lap of Fred Nolasco. 2/10 better than him. The Mercedes drivers after the spin is on a charge to claim as many points as possible. Snaggletooth has gone into the pit. Zabishaka added 3 seconds added to the penalty, to his penalty time. Where is Zabishaka? He's in P14. Let's have a look at Womack's race, because I wonder where he ended up after the collision. He's shown in P11, so net P12, as Trackster now got the position in Lasdaq, and Trackster is officially leading the race right now. We will see Lasdaq and get the money on run, and also Clay pitting in the next few laps. If not in this lap itself, the Clay is gonna pit. No, it's not. Fred is fighting with him. Fred gets the move on Clay going around the outside of the last corner. How much he's brave, Fred. Are you brave, Fred? Risking the places to get one car between him and Jules, who is keeping the pace even if he's on the medium. You can see Fred is not driving as smooth as he was in Austria. Maybe he didn't have time to practice as much as he did for the first race. But this is a championship. You can't count points. You can prepare. Ooh, Fred! A span going into Maggot's, clinching the curb and gone into the gravel. Didn't break his front wing by losing surely the place of Jules. Is Durshak gonna get him? No, it's not, because Fred managed to get back on track. He clinched the curb, the sausage curb, the red sausage curb, as Magnussen did 3 years ago in the Haas, and lost a ton of time to Jules. He was ahead of almost a second, and now lost the place, and is 8 seconds behind Jules, who is sitting in P3, net P3, since Mr. Dubrow is currently onto the straight, and Jules is trying to get a move on Clay, and now they're approaching the first straight, while Trackster is having a very clean and comfortable race in P1. Is dominating this race after Girocco lost the car and spun out in turn 3. He is having a very clean and comfortable race. He has a straight up difference, so he has like 5-second gap to Mr. Dubrow, which is onto the soft tires, so it might get him by the end of the race. We will see. He might need to push. 3-second time penalty for get the money on run. Lasdaq is fight. There's a fight. A codified Vumax and Barks. Barks is getting Camp Charles, who is a lapped car. Let's see if Barks gonna try to overtake Vumax. going to the main straight. Vomax is on R-tires. Barks doesn't have enough battery power to get alongside him. And so he's gonna sit another lap behind him. These R-tires doesn't looks they have so much pace. We'll see dirt short. Where is he gonna end up? He lost the car, he had contact and broke his front wing in the very first few laps, and now he's sitting with he's driving with these old hard tires, and we will see what his strategy is gonna be. I think he would like to try to finish the race on these hards, but maybe his best decision is to dive into the pit and choose a set of softs. Let's see, Barks is using all his energy to stay close to Vomax going to the main straight. Ooh, and he's done a really good Cops is one of the best doing it, I have to say. We have seen that also in qualifying. And he's now closer than the previous lap. Yes, DRS, but Vomax has a lot more energy to spend. And so for another few laps, Vomax is gonna stay in front. Even if every lap that pass, Vomax tires get worse and worse. So does the Barks one, but they are medium, so they are faster. They're gonna be faster for other 20 laps. We have 18 laps to go for the end of the race. We have to have a look at Mr. Dibber, but Barks is so close right now. And Vomax stick to the racing line. Barks goes down inside. Is it gonna be enough? Barks goes deep, but completely a very good overtake, and Vomax has to sit behind him. Let's see if he's gonna fight back, but Barks has already gone with the traction of the mediums. His red light is flashing. We know he doesn't have any battery. Let's see how it's gonna be. His Cops, very good, very well done for him. Vomax risking a bit more, managed to get a better exit. Not the best. Maggots and maggots for him. Also affected by the dirty air. And now Vomax is coming back at the Alpine driver. Let's see from Zabishaka perspective. Barks hold the position on the Williams. Is Vomax gonna switch down inside? He's trying to make a move on every single corner. Barks 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings given the fight with Vomax. And now Zabishaka is gonna try to make a move on the Williams itself. There's a fantastic three-way battle. Maybe they don't know, but they're actually fighting for P12. If Mr. Dibro performance will count. So Barks is still ahead of this trio, but Vomax is still in the DRS range by 4/10 of a second. Play Racing finally dives into the pits for a set of medium. Vomax 3-second time penalty. That's important for the fight. Zabishaka is gonna have his opportunity, but Vomax is using all his battery. They're getting closer and closer to Barks, but he has to sit behind him. Barks needs to storage as much energy as possibly can in this lap. to prevent Vumax to come closer in the main straight, or at least close enough to get the move on him. Ooh, Zabijaka! Zabijaka lost his front wing, has lost his car going to turn 1. I was wondering why he was losing so much ground to Vumax in a so little fraction of time, and now Zabijaka needs to go into the pit to change the tire, change the front wing, and he's only on the start of the lap. Maybe he's gonna consider the retirement. Snaggletooth, sorry, is coming at him. Zabijaka has AI on, which are not allowed to have. But let's get in the high places. Sandman has get a move on Dutcher from Alaska 128.7, and he is now the fastest car on track, sitting in a net P4. Let's see where Mr. Dibro is. Is getting closer and closer to Trackster. I hope the drivers will see Mr. Dibro in the mix as well, and not considering him as P18, otherwise they will not fight him as a net position. So Traxxer is losing some ground. Actually, Mr. Dibro is the one gaining. Jules, let's see the Jules pace. Jules in the last laps has done high 29, while Fred has done, I should say, low 20. Sorry, Jules has done high 29 and Fred has done low 29. So he's surely gaining. It's a bit inconsistent, and also it's consistent but with warnings, and is now getting another 3-second time penalty. Fred now does have 14 seconds of penalty, and he's virtually behind Lostock and Dershark, not Sandman, that has 8 seconds, and he's gone into the pit. After 16 laps on the softs, he realized that it wasn't possible to do other 15 laps on the soft tires and need to get a new set, and he's gonna join, I think, behind Warren. Let's see, Warren is very close to Clay. The two are battling for P8. Let's see the penalty situation between the two of them. Clay has 3 seconds more than Warren does. And Warren has. So McLaren driver might decide to sit back till the end of the race, but then a mistake will not let him be able to win the place on the Alfa Romeo driver. And since there are other 13 laps to go, you have to think to make a move and maybe try to get Marcy, even if he's 13 seconds ahead. But as I was saying, you can do mistakes even on the last lap, so nothing has been decided yet. As well as Mr. Dibro, who has got Trackster with his soft tires. I hope Trackster in same car number 2 on the standings. Mr. Dibro surely knows it. You can see he's driving so cleanly. locks up by Truckster and also by Mr. Dibro, locking the rear tires. Let's see if Mr. Dibro is gonna try to make a move on him on the very next straight. He has 100% of battery power, while Truckster has 85 and he doesn't have DRS, but he won't be close enough for this short straight to make a move. He'll surely get closer and closer. That will surely help for the next straight after Maggots and Beckett's. Sandman on the new soft tires gets the position on Barks. Taking a really wide line, Truckster not taking the best apex. And now Truckster goes on really defensive, sticking now to the racing line. Mr. Dibro swoops down inside and managed to get the position. Truckster sitting behind Mr. Dibro, who is on the brand new, not a brand new set soft, but still a 6 laps old set, which is nice, and is surely faster than the old set of mediums that Truckster has. Also, Mr. Dibro is now gonna have DRS. No, it doesn't. Truckster does, but you can see the Red Bull driver is disappearing in front of him. Subusta 13, please, I don't know who you are because your nickname doesn't coincide. I'll answer to your comment, but please also behave in the chat. Sandman 128.1, that's the fastest lap with a brand new set of soft tires. Zabishaka. Okay, so Zabishaka, I think you're not racing anymore, or maybe you are, but you're also writing into the chat. If you have the clip of Max brake testing you, then record it and send it to the steward, who will analyze that, surely. Truckster is hanging on for dear life. He should be like 8 tenths behind the Red Bull driver, who is the one actually leading. Truckster in second place, Jules in third place, who has been catched by Fred, but Fred has 14 seconds of penalty. And he's in a net P4, but we'll see for how much longer, since Lostock is 10 seconds behind him. And Fred is now in the DRS range, but Dwayne Wine into the Cops corner, he might have got another warning. The Shark still is in P5 with these old hard tires, and I think he's sure that these tires won't fail, will be alive till by the end of the race. His rival is 7 seconds behind him, and he also does have a penalty of 3 seconds. when almost Endershark almost spins out, jinxing it. You can see by that his starts are done, completely done. As Barks now get position back on Sandman, and it's because Sandman has spun going into Beckett's. Not the race that Sandman was hoping for. 2 or 3 spun, wrong strategy. And now the Mercedes driver is sitting out of the points with Barks that if he doesn't see Mr. Debra as the real leader, then he may think that he's in actually P10, but he's in P11. Also, I am quite sure, 99% and sure that Mr. Debra is the actual leader. Please let me know in the chat if you start a race with me, if I've lost anything, if he's actually almost a lapped car, who hasn't lapped himself 2 laps ago. Otherwise the Red Bull driver is the leader, is the lead car, and I have to say Dragster is keeping with him. He's like 1.2 seconds behind him, and if he gets a really good hammer time, he's gonna be able to get into the DRS range and finishing this race. With a very good fight for P1. Yeah, I know Fred Silva that Mr. Debra has been shown last for all the race, but I don't remember him crashing or losing the car, losing all these places. Maybe I am crazy, but I think Mr. Debra is bad as last, because otherwise Dragster would not try so hard to get him. Anyway, the one driving knows better than me, and there's also... No, I'm not crazy, thank you, Fred. And there's also the live stream that can be watched back. Maybe I've lost Mr. Debra spinning out. Yeah, the game is so buggy. We've seen that in this race. But he's actually managed to come down from mid-race. When sadly I've lost Fred overtaking Jules. Fred has 14 seconds of penalty, right? Yes, he does, so he's virtually in P4, as Jules will be ahead of him, while Lovestock is not in the range that he needs to be, to get the position on him. Oh, yo, Simopez, how are you doing? Simopez in the chat. The champion of Season 1 in the 2020 game, F1 2020 game. I haven't heard you in a while. Are you gonna be... I heard you're gonna be in the reserve from September, when you will be in Rome, sorry, in Milan. But let's focus on the race. Jules has come back in the DRS range of Fred Nolasco after being almost 1.5 seconds behind him. You can see that Fred tires are getting worse and worse every lap. the softs, I think the soft runner that start with the red tires on has decided to pit around lap 20, so that's when the tires get in a bad shape, while the medium on lap 25 are still good, not the best tires, but good. All good, Simubas. Glad to know. So Jules doesn't need to fight Fred, but it's always better to cross the line, cross the lines in front of your rivals than gain the place for his penalties. That's inside everybody drivers. Let's get on board with Marcy. I want to remind you that Marcy, Tibran and Vumax are fighting for a spot for the Ferrari seat. The lead car is now Eisenberg after the loss of Simopez. Sandman 127.5, another fastest lap for him on a 8 laps old compound, a set of soft tires. Let's see how the penalty situation will play a role. But Fred will be behind Jules, Marcy in front of Get the Money and Run, Clay behind. No, Clay is in front of Warren by 2/10 right now, so if Warren managed to close the gap into the 6 seconds, he's gonna get the place on the Alfa Romeo. Barks is losing his place to Sandman right now, with just got a another 3-second time penalty, but it's still enough to get the position on the Alpine driver. Vumax, who has been so unlucky as well as Sandman, is in P12, and Snaggletooth in P13 is one of the drivers without, one of the few drivers without a penalty. Then Tibran with 3 seconds, Zabishaka with 25, I think the AI is driving. Then we have Mooman in P16, Cam and Mr. Dibro without a penalty. Mr. Dibro, let me see, is still ahead and he's created some margin to Trackster. Now the chat is creating some doubt in me. I don't know if Mr. Dubra is leading. I'll see that back after the race, and you will also know about the standings from next week, when we are gonna have our 3rd round of the championship. I'll tell you in a sec where it's gonna happen. Let me have a look. It's gonna be in Belgium, where we're gonna have an 8-minute qualifying, as always, plus an 100% race, so the standard format. Mr. Dubro still leading the pack, followed by Trackster, then Fred, who is trying to desperate to create a 9-second gap in 3 laps to Jules. That's almost impossible unless Jules does a mistake. Lostock needs to be in 11th second to Fred, but unless Fred does a mistake himself, it won't happen, as Durshark is fighting incredibly for a P5 if he manage to get into 3 seconds of last duck. For a moment we have seen last duck on track after a spin, and then we see him racing back as normal. Not much action going around in this last few laps. The closest battle on track is between the two of them, who has swapped places many times in the second half of the race, Barks and Sandman. Sandman does surely have much more pace since he qualified on P2 onto the medium tires, and he also has better tires at the moment, but doesn't seem to have quite the opportunity to fight Barks, who is defending very hard and very good, always respectfully. Let's see if Sandman is gonna try to have a shot going into the straight. Tries to go around the outside. Barks keep his nose in, but it won't be enough to stay in front of the Mercedes, as now Sandman is going away with the traction of the soft tires and going to cups and then nuggets and buckets. I don't think Barks is gonna have his chance to overtake him, since he also doesn't have a lot of battery power, only 2%. Sabishaka has another 3-second time penalty, while Fred also got another 3-second time penalty. So let's put penalties on. He has now 17 seconds, but still Lost Duck is not in a gap. It needs to be 14 seconds clear. No, sorry, in the 14 seconds gap, which is not. So let's get on board with Mr. Dubrow, who is still leading. We're on lap 51 and now starting lap 52, even if the graphic says 44. One graphic says 44, the other one says 52. I don't know what happened today with the standings, but we're in the last lap of the race with Mr. Dubrow leading, Tractor following him around. But let's stay on board with the race leader, with the car, and with the one I think is the real race leader, the Red Bull, who has got a fantastic pace all the race long, so I would have considered possible to be P18. He would have listed a lap himself, as he did, but he's being shown with 2 laps behind Trackster, which is an error by the standings. So Mr. Dubrow approaching the last few turns, the last chicane, and now the last corner, a 5th line to the checkered flag, and Mr. Dubrow is gonna win the round 2 of Silverstone, followed by Trackster in P2 after a fantastic pole position. Trackster gets beaten by the Red Bull with the alternative strategy, and Jules is gonna come home to complete the podium in P3. Fred Nolasco in P4. Lost Duck. Let's see. The Aston Martin driver crossed the line in P5. Amazing result After started in P15, he has gained 10 places, not 11, as Dershark has also crossed the line, yes, and what an amazing performance from the other Red Bull driver in P6 with one stop in the very first lap, in the very first few laps. Also Marcy crossed the line in P7. The Aston Martin drivers, the AlphaTauri driver in P8, Clay Racing P9, Warren P10, completing the points finisher. Sandman, very unlucky performance for the Mercedes driver, followed by Barks in P12, with a very crazy start of the race and then managed to recover with a very consistent laps over the second stint with the medium. Douglas Nagelfuth in P13, Womack P14, Tibran P15, Zabishaka 16, Newman 17, Chemtrails P18, and Mr. Dibro. Well, I think, yeah, the AI is driving. I don't know what is happening, but I think that's it for this race. We're gonna wait a little bit longer just to see if when the time, the countdown time is gonna finish, if we're gonna have the podium and then the standing dated. Yeah, you can tell it's the AI driving by the style and also by the throttle and the braking application. So, an amazing performance, Mr. Dibro, after a very unlucky first race in Austria, where he spun and then collect also his teammate Dershark, and they came together, and that made a win for Fred easier. But it was an easy win in Austria, starting from P19 or P20, so the last row on the grid, and then managed to get the W. So 2-1, and the time is over, but it doesn't want to finish the session. So I appreciate everyone watching the race. Thank you so much for joining me into this round 2. Hopefully in next week in Belgium this multiplayer lobby will have better success. I think that's all for Division 1. Okay, so finally, after Mr. Dibro left the session, we managed to finish the session, so we're gonna have hopefully the podium celebration. And in fact we have them, even if it's shown the Mercedes driver says the first one. Congrats to everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Next week in Belgium. And now you should go and follow Division 2, who is gonna head out very soon, in like 10 minutes. Thank you so much to staying here, and we'll get you soon.